everybody. My name is Bob Campbell. I'm Director of Engineering at Resillion. You may or may not have heard of us as European Digital Testing. We've been through a name change. I'm here to do a panel session on next-gen TV devices and give an update on the progress and some of the challenges. So I'd just like to introduce my panel guests here. We've got Anne Shelley from Pearl TV, probably needs no introduction. But Anne's been driving a lot of the promotional work around the logo and helping get a large number of device manufacturers through the process. We've got Adam Goldberg from Sony, one of the first TV manufacturers to adopt the logo and go through the process. We've got Gopal Miglani from BitRouter, one of the set-top box manufacturers who's starting to get involved in going through the process. And Alex Day from Tolka, who is already almost at the end of that process. So we've got some set-top box guys, we've got some TV guys. Next person who's going to speak is Lynn Cloudy, again, should need no introduction, but from NAB, who've also been supporting this program, and he's going to give us a little introduction to why the logo scheme for next-gen TV came into existence. So I'll let Lynn carry on, and we'll go through the slides that he's got first.
Great, hi, glad you're here. I'm here to set up what is the value proposition of having a certification logo. That's the subject of this panel. And to me, it really comes down to three things. John Ruskin, the band Kiss, and Head & Shoulders shampoo. So let me tell you what I mean. First of all, John Ruskin. He famously said this, that there's hardly anything in the world that some man can't make a little worse and sell a little cheaper, and the people who consider price only are this man's lawful prey. And I think that's an important lesson. And there's an application to the next-gen logo, is that this thing better do what it says it's supposed to do and have all the features in it that a consumer might want to have. You don't want to have this. Yeah, it sold you the car, but you didn't say you wanted wheels on it. We need to, without having an intelligent consumer, intelligent enough to want to buy a next-gen TV, but not have to worry about the details. So that leads into the band Kiss, and of course, what I'm referring to is the Kiss principle of keep it simple, stupid. This is something where you don't want people to have to think about what they're buying. They just want a TV set. They just want to watch TV, and they don't want anything to be missing from that experience. Now, that may seem obvious that if they buy something that has a logo on it, that's good enough. But let's recall back to the analog to digital transition. We had logos that people didn't know what they were. And it was a sad commentary on how we went about the transition. We had HD ready sets and HD monitors, and people thought that meant, yeah, I can get HD over the air, and no, you couldn't. So the result from all that was we ended up with a law that said you've got to put digital TV tuners into your TV sets, and that's not the way we're going this time around. So we don't want to have that kind of situation on this transition. Next Gen TV tells you exactly what's in the TV. Good thing. Head & Shoulders shampoo, well, they didn't invent it, but they certainly popularized the slogan, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that's what we're working on with Next Gen TV is first impressions, that people want to know that this thing does what it's supposed to do. They're very susceptible to peer pressure and what they hear from someone else who bought it, and if they give it a bad review, they're not going to buy it. So you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And it's amazing. People will put up with frustration in some of their electronic devices. With computers, in the morning you get frustrated with your computer and you do the same thing at noon and at the end of the day. And yet you don't throw away that computer. Your TV set doesn't work, it's back to the manufacturer. So we treat these things differently, and television sets are exquisitely sensitive to the ick factor from consumers, that if it wasn't what they thought they bought, it's out of here. So we need to keep all that in mind. The next gen TV, in terms of those three principles, checks all the boxes. And what this really is a trust but verify kind of model where we can slap something on a TV, and if that logo is on there, we know that it's going to be as successful as it can be. So that's kind of an introduction to why you need a logo and what we plan to do with it. So I'm going to turn it back to Bob, and we'll get on with our discussion.
So thank you for that, Lynn. That's great. Look for the logo is kind of the message that we want to get across today, but I think to support that, there's been a lot of effort put into promoting this, and it's been led a large part by Anne's organisation, and I know you've gone through a lot of different steps with advertising and campaigns and market research. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of things that you've been doing and what the feedback's been?
Yeah, sure. So we recognized early on that we absolutely needed a way for teleconsumers how to go look and find out what NextGen TV is all about, how to find it, right? And that was the logo program. So we worked closely with CTA and NAB first to test the logo to determine what was a value benefit that consumers wanted to find with NextGen TV. And we did that work in Phoenix over 5 years ago. We had consumer labs, and we brought them in and asked them about the benefits of NextGen. And they rank ordered those. First and foremost, it's upgradable for the future. Consumers get that fact now. And there's a 5G logo. I mean, there's logos for everything, Wi-Fi, all of that's certified, right? It's all certified. So consumers know what they're going to get, although I'm not sure I'm getting 5G half the time, so that wasn't a good analogy. But so what we've done with the logo is after we understood what consumers, how they thought about it, we created an ad campaign, both over the air, as spots that are running. We ran 30,000 spots to 30 million people over the holiday seasons. We've actually been doing this for the last 2 years as markets roll out, and directing the consumers to www.watchnextgentv.com. We also unveiled a new Look for the Logo campaign last summer. You can see up at the booth, you can notice we have she looks like Thelma from Scooby-Doo. She's an actress. That's a social campaign that's gone out. Over 100,000 uniques went out just at Christmas time. And that's Look for the Logo. So the other piece to this is to get the TV manufacturers to include that on their boxes, to go to their websites, to be able to search for it, to find it at Best Buy, and to find it at retail. And that's where we're at right now, really working with them. I do have to say that we have some great partners like Sony who are really doing a great job showcasing the logo. It's Hisense, if you go on their website, it's right there, bam, you can search for all the TVs with the logo. But we have more work to do. We're talking to Best Buy, Costco, and others just to make sure that when a consumer walks in, that the blue T-shirts know where to find it. So more to come on that, but a lot of information is going out there right now. So right now, if you're in San Francisco, you should be seeing the ads for NextGen TV.
Great. Okay, so the next kind of question I think is over to Alex. You've been through the process, or you're getting to the end of that process. Tell us a little bit about how that's been for you, what the challenges have been, and how you came to be interested in the logo. What drove you to get to that point?
Well, this time last year, I have to admit we didn't know very much about the logo, and we were debating whether or not to do it. And as you heard earlier, it's really about the recognition that all the functions are being supported, and honestly, they do a great job promoting it. So we're just gonna piggyback on that. So as we've gone through the process, we saw the breadth of the functionality that it covers, right? And it's getting, as the standard is, people are agreeing on exactly how to use it. We want to make sure that we're supporting all of those different features, and it has been a big challenge, because going through that we realized, oh, we're missing this or missing that, and making sure that we cover those things has been a process, but we're at the end of the road now, so
Nearly there, very nearly there. I know. So that's great, and there's been a process that you've been going through with the support of Pearl TV. I know, and you've got a sort of fast track program. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, what we recognized is that we really need to get out there and educate receiver manufacturers and set-top makers of what the process is. How do you work with CTA? How do you work with A3SA, which is the security authority, to get the right credentials? Because this is a secure service that's been moved out by broadcasters on NextGen. There's audio testing. Verance has their testing. So really just to educate them. So I actually met Alex with you, Bob.
That's right. Yeah.
At a cocktail party at the beach.
In Amsterdam. Yeah.
In Amsterdam.
That's a story for another day.
That is a story. I think there's a movie. And Alex we started talking to him, and he said, I didn't know that. And we said, hey, we have this fast track program. We'll work with you. We'll help you. I think we sped up your introduction. We talk to Alex weekly. Bit Routers also on our fast track program, and we're just here to educate and help and get you. We also provide help. We have a lab. We work closely with the Eurofins and Bob, but to make sure that you don't make any of the mistakes that happened when the early manufacturers came in. I mean, they have the wherewithal to do things really quickly, and smaller manufacturers it's harder, more complex. But we want to make it really simple. Our goal is to get a lot of working devices out there, to get them all logoed so there's no consumer confusion, and to get our great services out there. One thing I would point out is we are continuing to roll out new features, and the test suite that Bob's built with CTA includes all of these things we might not be offering right now, but we have plans to offer. And you wouldn't know that if you just went and did a mystery shopping or mystery viewing in a market. And that's what's really important. This is upgradable. We're launching features monthly that are brand new. And it's because of the IP nature of the platform. So again, that's why it's important. But Alex has been great to work with. Bit Router's been great to work with. But please join us. We're open if you want to join us on the fast track, and it's free.
Thanks, and that's a good segue into GoPal here. So you're a little bit further back in your sort of approach to the logo, but tell us about the plans that you have and where you're at in your roadmap.
Yeah, we decided to go direct to consumer early. We built boxes, prototypes, sold them to broadcasters, got early experience in the markets. Now we have boxes in every deployed market. We are engaging with broadcasters, fixing problems in the field, and then going back to certification. So we've started A3SA testing. It is working in Tampa. Next step is to get it certified, then go for A344. So everything's happening, but we're trying to support ATSC1 first, DVR, and build up that direct-to-consumer support infrastructure as we do it. And it's helping us test out all the kinks in the software update process. And so, you have one of our boxes, and it'll be going through its paces soon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Great. Okay. So, Adam, Sony were at the very forefront of this process and have been now through several cycles of TVs released every year. And tell us a little bit about Sony's experience, where you see this going now, and how Sony's perceiving the logo program in particular.
Yeah, so we, as you say, we were involved at the very beginning of the logo program and helped develop a lot of the tests and how that all works and fits together. And even with that, the fact that the tests are there is helpful in wringing out all the corners and pieces of things that might slip by if there wasn't a comprehensive test like there is. Back in the day for 1.0, we were all kind of flying on our own, and it was less than optimal. But today we've had products in the market for several years, and essentially all of our TVs are next gen TV in the U.S. now, and they all bear the logo, and the logo process, it is takes some time, but it's a important piece of the set of testing that we do for making sure that we produce the high quality product Sony is known for.
Absolutely. Okay. So Lynn, NAB helped kick this off. They started very early to initiate the logo process. You have helped with CTA to establish the logo process, funding and all of that. We've heard a little bit about why you think a logo program is important, but tell us about NAB's expectations now going forward, where we're at today. Are you happy with the progress that's been made? What do you want to see next? Oh, I think it might be on now. Try again.
Oh, okay. It's the kind of thing where if you're looking for what is the grade, you have to grade on the curve. The great thing about ATSC 3 is its flexibility. But what that means is that if you mix and match all the modes of operation and all the features and say, I'm going to have a test program that exhaustively tests all those things, you have an intractable problem. You have tens of thousands of combinations. So starting out, the conformance testing was fairly modest, I think, with major operating modes and kind of a sampling process. And as the conformance test program has matured, we've added many, many, many tests. So I forget how many hundreds of tests are in the conformance test program.
347 tests.
347. It is not a trivial test program, and Adam can attest to that fact. But as we go forward and as features get added, as Ann said, on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, we need to adapt the test program to be able to incorporate those features, because we really don't want any feature left behind or anyone having a bad experience with a new feature that comes out. So the test program, you can think of it as a living organism that is changing its shape constantly to adapt to the new set of features and to try to get more towards that exhaustive testing goal that you'll never reach, but you can do a better job of it all the time and continually improve it. At some point, it gets to be pretty unwieldy, and I think everyone's headed towards automated testing to try and handle all this. And that's the way it should be, because this is an extremely complex standard, and the user experience needs to be extremely simple. So you can't make something simple without having a very complex testing structure that ensures that it's going to be a seamless kind of experience for consumers. So not to avoid the question of how are we doing, we're doing the best we can. I guess that's the summary.
Yeah, it's evolving in a very controlled way, but it is growing over time. We've added tests in every year. There's a yearly sequence to the release process for the test suites. That's growing coverage, but it's also growing the depth of coverage. And we're adding to that things from, this is a call out to anybody who's involved in deploying services. We're more than happy to get your input to this process. There's material that has been provided from station groups and by people putting together their services to make sure that we have the coverage of the features that you need. So do get in touch with any of us on the panel here or myself if you want to make sure that that's going in a direction that's appropriate for your services. Taking a look more broadly, I can see Cordell's here for representing Jamaica and Aaron over there from Trinidad. The take-up of ATSC globally is an exciting prospect. I wanted to ask the panel and maybe the manufacturers particularly, the perception you have of the importance of the logo and how important those extra markets are for you guys. Are you planning to look at those markets? Are they driving your thinking a little bit? Do you want to go Alex maybe, and then Gopal, and then Adam?
Yeah, so we've been following the progress of ATSC3 or similar standards evolving in Brazil and other parts like Japan. And we see that the trend, there's a lot of the same functionality going into those different ones. Maybe they'll be on different bandwidths, maybe they'll have a different physical layer, but the logo program, I think, is very, supporting important features like dialogue enhancement, and whether it's Dolby or another standard that's used for those kind of things in another country, I think a similar logo program probably would be very beneficial.
Okay. Gopal, what about your views on that?
So we've had units in Jamaica now. We have 3 or 4 units there. We're testing them. We have a lot of remote access built in. So just like we have units in 65 US markets, we can remotely test the units in Jamaica. We can capture recordings from there, bring them back, analyze them, upload the fixes. We can tell the operator in Jamaica to upload diagnostic logs. So we've built in all these features so we can support remote markets easily, and it's going well. I mean, the logo is a big part of it. That'll give people confidence, and that'll come with time. But it's really important to help the broadcasters with early deployments. Anything that's not working, we work with Enensys, Atem, Triveni. If we find something is off, we work with them to fix it. Heartland Video Systems. So there's a lot of work involved in just making sure the ramp up goes smoothly and things keep narrowing into the actual standard and not digressing away. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing with Jamaica, and it's really important. Yeah.
Okay. And Adam?
Yeah, so we're thrilled that that ATSC3 is such a well-performing standard with lots of options and features, and very, very happy that that Jamaica has adopted it, and Trinidad and Tobago has announced adoption as well. I think for worldwide, for nations other than U.S., their needs and expectations of the digital television system can be a little different, more focused on remote learning and the way that ATSC3 data delivery fundamentals can enable features that are particularly important for other nations. Additionally, it's important for the marketplace that the features and additions and changes that are being done or would be done, may be done for worldwide use is done in a way that it's not turning into 2 or 3 or 7 different systems, that we keep it all together. And I think one important piece of that is for the sorts of additions that are going to need to be made for other applications find their way into the test suites, so that we have the same advantages of the the solid testing regime and the ability to work through that before introduction rather than after. So we're very happy that there's other nations adopting the ATSC3 and doing everything we can to help them out. And I think that the logo program will continue to be helpful, even if there are pieces of what, say, Jamaica is using that is little or non-used in the U.S. Nevertheless, make it into the test suite so that they get the full advantage of all the work we've done over the past 10 or more years of ATSC3.
Yeah.
So,
And you want to jump in? Yeah.
It's working. Oh yeah. So I think just a little history. So we first met Eurofins at IBC before we were even contemplating. We were starting to contemplate the CTA and NAB, the testing program, and they do all the HBB TV testing in Europe and a lot of other TV testing. But at the time, They were also doing the testing in South Korea because South Korea had launched ATSC 3.0. Slightly different flavor, but they had some things they didn't take our IP-based aspects of our platform, but you guys built test suites for them, and that's why we approached you, because we were confident that you could come in and deal with this complexity of the standard. So it's being tested slightly differently over there. We have our test suite, and I think you're absolutely right, Adam. We need to maintain the overall from an ATSC perspective, but you're going to have these different flavors out there, and so you guys do a pretty good job of figuring that out.
Yeah, I mean, we were only a little bit involved in Korea, but we certainly from the HBB-TV world, a lot of experience of various flavors. Europe's a little bit different in the way that it approaches things, but it has a core test suite that covers the fundamentals, and then each region adds its own flavors to that and builds on top of that core, so that it uses the same essential test material to establish the functionality that's common to every platform, and then adds its own little flavors for regional requirements, language settings, or ratings requirements that might differ between countries, that kind of thing. And it's a very successful program, an approach, because it gives both the flexibility for countries that have different dynamics and different drivers, and yet everybody's at a same foundation. And for receiver manufacturers who have global markets in mind, it's not realistic to think that they're going to produce a flavor for every market, especially some of the smaller markets. Those are not going to get a selection of things that they might wish for. They're going to be having to exist with the types of devices that are available in a broader market. I think that's worth being aware and being cognizant of, because it's a reality of manufacturing in a global market.
If I could just pile on for a second and sing Bob's praises as well. Neither Eurofins Digital Testing, the old name, or Resillion, the new name, are exactly household recognition kinds of names. But these guys are the real deal. We have meetings every week with the manufacturing community and with Resillion to go over new tests and to take hundreds of list of bug fixes that they look at very carefully. And a test, if it gets into the test suite, has been reviewed numbers of times by numbers of engineers that make sure that this test is appropriate, it is precise, it doesn't test things that you don't need to test, and you get results from it that are meaningful. And the engine behind that really is Resillion and their experience with doing this kind of testing. So we feel very good about how the test program is set up and the people that are essentially running it.
Yeah, this is worth mentioning one more thing, that the process of developing and verifying tests has not unexpectedly, I suppose, aired and unearthed ambiguities of the standards, or places where two different documents are a little bit different in the way they describe things. And so even if it would have worked without turning those things up, it definitely makes for a better standard, a better operation, for having gone through the process of identifying specific tests and reconciling them with what the documents say, and digging up the places where things are ambiguous or wrong or need attention, which is an ongoing process, but ever forward, and it gets better all the time.
Can I jump back?
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
So, as you mentioned, the Resillion now, the test suite is like maturing. It's becoming more thorough. It's becoming covering, well, just to say, it scales, right? It's scaling better, and just like all of the other ATSC3 technologies, the demodulators, the air chain, everything like that. So I think while in this market we went through all this work to kind of make this more, to get it working, now it's scaling. It's going to make all the hardware less expensive, which is beneficial to all the other markets, right? They can just kind of plug and play.
Yeah. I mean, that's really a good hope to have, is that the work that's been done to date will actually really help the other markets to just pick up something that's really much more mature and ready to go. I really appreciate what you said, Lynn. I'll get you a drink from the free bar over there later. I'm going to go on to a slightly different question. We've had the announcement just earlier in the week about the FCC and NAB have driven some discussions to happen now about how the FCC can accelerate adoption and address some of the remaining challenges. I'm interested what you all as a panel would like to see come out of that. Maybe going for across the board from Alex one at a time, to just give us your view of what you would like to see to help you from where you're at now get further into the market and accelerate your success.
I think that we would all like to see hardware get less expensive, right? And as I mentioned, as we scale there, that will happen. As more markets keep on popping up, we will see more demand. So please keep doing that. We like that. And that all these other use cases that like with Sinclair or Scripps testing, other uses for like data casting, as other use cases come along, we would also love to make sure that we support all of them.
I think there's two levels to this. What the NAB is doing is great. Work with the FCC, get certainty into the marketplace. When will the transition happen? How will it happen? Then that's the macro level, but at the micro or the nano level, work with people like us, the manufacturers, to have test units at every station, at every engineer, at every home, and get those orders flowing, tens, 20s, hundreds. It really helps us. Because we're small companies, we're investing early, and we need the support of the broadcasters to get the units out in the field. So work at the top from the FCC, work from the bottom with small orders for as we implement more parts of the test suites. Let's get the units going into the hands of engineers and early adopters and things like that.
Okay, Anne.
Yeah, I think it's we're excited about it. We think we need this partnership with the FCC to be able to figure out some of the nuances around what a full transition would look like, and explore and have those discussions in an open, transparent way with lots of different companies that are stakeholders. And just to Alex's thing, keep markets going. We've got Philly coming up this summer, and we've got Minneapolis coming up, and you'll see New York, Chicago, and finally San Diego later this year. So we're on it. But at the end of the day, they're right. Smaller manufacturers need to have orders coming in. The more that there's certainty out there, beyond our enabling these bigger sticks, we do have spectrum constraints. There's a lot of things like 4K and other things we want to do, and in order to do that, we need to have the ability to enable more spectrum, or put more spectrum to play in ATSC 3.
Okay, so just to check on that, so that's one of the things that I think people are interested in, is when are these new features? I mean, the extra features that ATSC 3 enables aren't all out in the market yet, because we haven't got the space to do that yet, right?
Well, so one of the ways we can manage that is you'll see some things over at the ATSC booth that's in the Pearl section, which includes a broadcast IP channel. What we did there is we partnered with PBS, and NBC partnered with PBS in Miami to enable that station to come on over the air, but as an IP-based channel inside the over-the-air guide. We now know, based on that there's other PBS stations that'll be doing that. That allows them to start to offer the service without the spectrum being there. What's really cool and what's really cool about LG was the first to do it. Sony's joining us. We're excited about that. But what's cool about that is it gives those stations a chance to enable applications to really start to test and offer these new content features to the consumer. The other piece that better video, like enhanced video and audio. Right now, the basic audio features of Dolby's are there, but you're going to see some things coming out in immersive, multi-language. That's also over there at the booth, and HDR. So right now, most of the stations are running in 1080p. So you will see the sports leagues going on in HDR in 2024, and I'm really excited about that because if you look at that picture over there, if I've watched the folks looking at it, they're thinking it's 4K. That's 1080p HDR.
Right. And Lynn?
Well, you asked about the FCC announcement on Monday, and I'll give you my opinion, which is that since the original announcement in 2017 that broadcasters had permissive authority to use ATSC3, Monday's announcement was the most important thing the FCC has ever said about next-gen TV. We started ATSC3 broadcasting analogous to jumping off a building and figuring out, we'll figure out how to land softly on the way down. There is no strategy for how to end the transition. And right now, without regulatory help, there is no way to end the transition. Definition of the word transition is moving from one state to another. It is not living in two states at the same time in perpetuity. And living in two worlds of DTV and ATSC 3.0 is kind of the worst of all possible worlds in the end, because we are spectrum constrained and we can't do all the fancy features of ATSC 3 while we're devoting spectrum to ATSC 1. So this gives us a forum to take on those big questions about when can you turn off ATSC1? Do you do it regionally? Do you do it nationally? What does the penetration rate of sets have to be? What does the cost of converter boxes need to be able to make those decisions? Those are all part of a regulatory conversation because they are charged with protecting consumers as part of the pact with broadcasters and responsible allocation and maintenance of spectrum. So we haven't been able to have that conversation. Now we will have a formal mechanism to do that, to make reasonable decisions. Everyone is not going to get exactly what they want. I think Curtis said that in his speech, that there will be compromise, but they'll get what they need. And we hope that those conversations start early and that we're able to get to a point where everyone believes that we are moving in this transition with the goal of turning off ATSC1 and not disenfranchising consumers in doing it. So very consequential speech from Jessica Rosenworcel on Monday.
I want to give Adam one chance.
Yeah, so just to 2 cents, and I know we're running short on time. I think it's at the beginning there was permission to play with it. And I think we're at a place today where it's time to start or maybe more broadly use the advanced features that 3.0 is bringing that maybe don't have an exact analog in 1.0. And so I think some regulatory changes or flexibility in what broadcasters can do in 3.0 and how that all works will generate additional demand for these newer and advanced features and differentiate the 3.0 services from 1.0. I mean, HDR is a big part of it, of course, and that's really striking visually. But there's other stuff to it too. Data distribution things and a whole collection of things that can be done by the IP broadcast aspect of ATSC3. So. I'm looking forward to the next few years for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do, I think, in that transition period to start showing some of those services without depending entirely on all of the broadcast capability and spectrum that we'll need for that. We're out of time, so I'm just going to wrap up and thank my guests and say that it's been a very interesting session for everybody, I hope. And if you do have any other questions, then come and see us. We're over there on the booth. There's also some drinks, so that's a good reason to go over there if nothing else. So thanks everybody, thanks all of you for your contributions, and good luck, and keep going with the devices and the certification, and we'll hope to get some good things out of the FCC's task force. All right, thanks everybody.